Hello, YouTube. It's Barbara Jean. Okay. I tried to make this video earlier, but I was having some problems um, speaking. So I'm going to try it again. Okay, let's start with a Bible reading. Isaiah chapter 13, starting at verse 9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. I think that's kind of interesting. The sun is described as a he, and the moon is described as a she. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the gold wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger, and it shall be as the chaste roe, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one to his own land. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to read from there. Okay. I tried to make this video earlier, but I don't think I made my point particularly clearly, so I thought I'd redo it. Not that you would know that. But anyway, this dream, I'm going to give you a couple of dreams that, one from my own, and a couple of other people had actually given me some dreams of theirs. Anyway, let me just first start with a girl named Nicole. She's actually engaged to my cousin David, and this whole thing, I got her dream, was given to me about 3 weeks ago. I was helping an elderly cousin, and out with some things that she had some help needed some help with, and she had one of the things she asked me to do was go pick up her grandson and his girlfriend from the Sky Train, or L train, we call it the Sky Train here, and bring them to her home. So I went and picked them up at the subway, and anyway, my cousin's name is David, and his girlfriend's name is Nicole, and she's actually going to have a baby in the next few months. But anyway, this conversation started when I said to her, I was actually talking to both of them, and to pick them up, and they were talking to them about, just chatting, and I don't particularly know my cousin's girlfriend very well. I've only seen her a few times, and we have very light conversation, not really anything in depth. And anyway, I mentioned to her, I said to both of them, I said, I hope you guys are both right with the Lord, and you're right with Jesus, and that you're saying your prayers, because something very bad can happen any time, and that the Lord is coming. And she said, oh really? And I said, yeah. I said, on top of which there is a comet coming, and it's called Ison, 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 and it's said to be a comet, but it could very well be larger than the Earth. And if that's the case, then it could actually flip the Earth and cause great destruction. And so I said, anyway, I was talking to her about this in just a few moments, and then she says to me, out of the blue, she says, that's funny. She says, we just started going back to church 2 weeks ago because I had a dream. And I said to her, well, really, what was the dream? And she said, well, 2 weeks, when I spoke to her, this was about 3 weeks ago, she said 2 weeks earlier, I had a dream that frightened me so much that I told David that we had to go back to church. And she said, we went to see a pastor who had told us he would marry us and then baptize us. And and she said, this is basically what the dream was. The dream was, she woke up, she was so frightened from this dream. That's what she said, she just woke up crying, and that's why she said we had to go back to church. And the dream she said she had was that she was on a path with an aunt, and they were walking down this path. Now, she didn't say whether it was in the city or the country. She just said she was on the pathway with her aunt. And a man on a bicycle was also on this pathway. She said, out of the blue, it seemed like there were speakers everywhere, like speakers like stereo speakers, everywhere you heard the voice of this man speaking. Just suddenly, out of the blue, there he was, and guess whose voice it was? Obama. She said she heard the voice of Barack Obama. Suddenly, his voice was all over, and he was saying um, to everybody in the world. She felt it was the world, and he was saying, "Everyone, just um, uh, carry on like this is a normal day. Just act like this is a normal day. Everything's fine. Just go about your business as though nothing was wrong or nothing was going on." And she said that's when she looked up and she saw this bright object in the sky, and she didn't know what it was. She said it was very bright, and it just seemed to fill the sky. And then she said the sky then turned a very strange color. She said it turned red, and the sun did some kind of weird it kind of changed. The sun started to change. And then she said that the whole sky, the whole air, everything changed. And she felt the gravity all of a sudden had changed. That's what she said. Gravity had changed. And she saw the man on the bicycle, and the man on the bike seemed to fly off his bike because everything had changed in a moment. And that's when she woke up from this dream, and she said it was frightened her so much, and she was so frightened that she said to David that we have to go to church and get our lives changed. We have to change our lives. Now, I feel that the Lord told me to speak to her and David about this, Ison, because he was warning them that something very big and very bad was getting ready to happen, and it was a confirmation to them. Not so much a confirmation for me, but a confirmation for them that they were on the right track, that they needed to get their lives straight and go back to Jesus. And she said to me that she had been taught as a child, that there was tribulation coming, that there was a terrible time coming on the earth, and that Jesus was coming back to save his people. And that's what she told me. So this was her dream um, that she told me after I told her about Ison, the comet Ison. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is a little bit complicated, but let me just first start it because it's kind of a dream, my dream, and it's also someone else's dream put together. Let me just go back and explain something that I've been going through in the last little while, last several months. Um, I've been off work for the last few months, and I believe with all my heart that it was by design, God's design, that I be home so that He could do what He's doing through me. I'll explain that another time. Um, God has a grand plan. It's His design and His plan. Anyway, he designed it so that I would be off work. And the reason I was off work was because I've been having some problems with my feet. That's why I had to leave work. And I left work about the end of December last year. And this woman that I worked with, her name is Colleen. I'd worked with her several years in housekeeping. She was laid off a couple weeks before I left my job. Now, the way she left her job was a lot more traumatic, and it was actually quite cruel and mean-spirited of the employer, our employer, the way her situation came about, because it wasn't fair. But that's another story altogether. I'm not going to go there. But anyway, she had been fired basically for really trumped up charges on her. Anyway, I had led this woman and her daughter to the Lord earlier that year. And anyway, so I had been off work for the last few months, and I last time I spoke to Colleen was earlier this year, like around February. This last year was the last time I really spoke to her, and we had any conversation or any contact with her. And Last Saturday, I had a very strange dream. This was late Friday night, Saturday morning. I had a strange dream, which I thought it might be prophetic, but I didn't really think so. Really, I didn't really give it too much thought, except for the fact that, um, anyway, let me just tell you the dream and how it all came about. Um, so here's the dream. The dream was this woman, Colleen, that I told you I worked with, was on a trapeze. And she was flying around on this trapeze, and it wasn't too high off the ground. I mean, she was up off the ground, and she was doing tricks and little things and showing me how she was able to maneuver this trapeze. And anyway, that she came down on the trapeze closer to the ground, and I tried to get up on the trapeze, and I was fooling around, and I was showing her my pitiful attempts to try to do what she did on this trapeze, and I was admiring how wonderfully she was able to do all these tricks and stuff on this trapeze. And you know, so anyway, we were laughing and giggling about how pitiful I was on this trapeze. So anyway, she gets off I get off the trapeze, and we were talking, and she brings up work. She says, "Have you been able to find work?" And I said, "No, no, I haven't." And she said, "Well, she hadn't been either." And I said, "Well, I've been looking, but I haven't been able to find work. I'm starting to get worried." And she said to me in this dream, she says, "Well, you'll have work this Sunday. There'll be work for you this Sunday." And I said, "Oh, okay, good. I could use the work. That's good because I could use the work." And that's what I said in the dream. And then the dream was over. That was the whole dream. Nothing very significant, or so I thought, about that dream. And so anyway, when I woke up from that dream, I thought, well, that was a little odd. I wonder what that meant, if it meant anything. And so the next day was Sunday. I thought, well, maybe something was going to happen on Sunday. Well, nothing happened on Sunday, and so I just kind of put it to the back of my mind and forgot about this dream. Well, a strange thing happened yesterday, Tuesday. Um, who should call me? And like I said, I hadn't heard from her in months. Was Colleen? Colleen calls me, and she says, "Oh, hi, Barbara Jean. I just wondered how you're doing." And she tells me about what she's been going through, and that she was having a hard time finding work, but she was doing this and that and little odd things that she can trying to keep herself together. And I was admiring her, because I always did, because she has a kind of a strong survival instinct. She just does what she has to do, and I've always admired that about her, because my survival instincts are not as strong as hers. And so I guess that kind of correlated with the dream. I was admiring her ability to maneuver the it's gone out of the trapeze. And I how pitiful I felt on the same trapeze. I felt pitiful because I just don't have the same skills she does. And that's what was happening on this phone call. I was telling her, "Oh, you always," or she just has this wonderful ability just to take life as it is and roll with the punches. So she was asking me about work, and if I had found anything. I said, "No, not yet." But pretty soon I'll be getting back to work, because my feet are healing and everything's working. I'm feeling a lot better. So very optimistic. And anyway, so that was basically the end of the conversation. Then later that afternoon, uh, a couple hours later, there was a movie I was watching. Started watching a movie, and it was called Trapeze. It's called Trapeze. It had Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis in it, and they were trying to manipulate this trapeze and trying to do a triple flip on this trapeze. And how dangerous it was, and they were making it look so easy and so wonderful. Anyway, I watched about 40 minutes. I lost interest in it, and I turned it off. It wasn't until later on this afternoon, later on that evening, around 3 o'clock in the morning, this morning, that I started thinking. I started thinking, boy, something reminds me of something. What was it about that movie that reminds me of something? I was trying to remember something. And then all of a sudden, I remembered the dream about Colleen and the trapeze. And I'm thinking, how strange can it be? How could this be a coincidence that she calls me the same day that watched a movie about a trapeze. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's something else. But anyway, in the dream, she told me there'll be work for you this Sunday. Okay, so I'm just wondering, I don't know whether this is a direct word from the Lord or whether it's a prophetic word or not. I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there as as a possibility that something could happen this Sunday. I'm not saying the rapture or that the world's going to flip. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that something big could happen this Sunday, because it was kind of strange that I should have a dream about or should have a dream about trapeze and Colleen, and then a couple few days later, Colleen should call me on the same day that I watch a movie about a trapeze. A very strange thing. So just keep your eyes open for something might be going down on Sunday. It might not. I don't know. Possibility. Also, this Sunday happens to be October 1st. Is it October 1st this Sunday coming up? Let me just check. Hold on. Let's check my calendar. No, October 1st is Tuesday. The 29th is the 29th. Something could happen, something may not. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying this dream is prophetic, but I'm just saying it's a possibility that it could be prophetic. Anyway, all that to say that she also reminded me of her dreams when I told her about the comet Ison. And while we worked together, I was always telling her about the end of the world and, the end of the world as we know it. And sometimes I'm sure she didn't want to hear it. But she was the one I suggested I come on YouTube because she seemed to think I had a lot to say. So she encouraged me to come on YouTube so that she wouldn't have to listen to all the stuff I was running on about. But anyway, she also reminded me after I told her about the comet Ison, because she said she hadn't heard about the comet Ison. And I told her, what I knew about it, and that I said, the star Bethlehem was the brightest star in the heavens, and it announced the first coming of Jesus Christ. And now we've got this other comet that's going to be visible to the naked eye coming in November. Could this be announcing the return of Jesus Christ? I think probably it is. I mean, God just doesn't put signs in the heavens just for the fun of it. All the constellations they're all around, uh, Capricorn, Aquarius, all these things are all signs about Jesus Christ, and Satan has corrupted the meaning of the constellations to lie and deceive humanity, But the constellations all tell the story about Jesus, and so we got this comet that's going to be so massive and brighter than anything that's shown up in a long, long time. And we are expecting the return of Christ. I believe that this is a sign. So I was telling her about the comet Ison because she hadn't heard. And she said, well, that kind of reminds me of some dreams that I had. And I said, what are, she reminded me of a dream she told me about a couple of years ago about how she was in her kitchen. She was dreaming that she was in her kitchen, and all of a sudden the world flipped, and it was daytime, and suddenly in a moment it was night. And so she always remembered that dream because it frightened her so much, and it was so real. Then she said just recently she's been having dreams about great disasters, the world flipping. Again, she's been having dreams about the world flipping, and floods. And so anyway, I just think that we need to really be aware that we are living in the last days. These are it. We're seeing the Bible prophecy being fulfilled before our very eyes. I believe with all my heart the bride will be removed before the great and terrible day of the Lord. We will not be here to see the destruction, but there will be millions and billions of people who will see it and millions of people who will die. So please, if you don't know Jesus Christ right now, give your heart to him. He is coming back for his people, and he promised to remove us and save us from the hour of tribulation which shall come upon the whole earth. And also be baptized as soon as you can. Please watch my other videos on baptism. Find a church pastor Christian, someone who will baptize you. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be in a baptistry or in the river. It can be in your bathtub someplace or in a pool, anywhere you can find water. Anyway, I am going to leave it at that. It's 20 minutes now and a lot longer than I expected to talk. God bless you all and have a great day.